And we are live here at the Bitcoin Energy Summit, having a great time. People are starting to come in more and more. You really have some OGs, some important people here, people that are making a difference in the space, like my man here, Chris Mack, who can forget that name, right? Chris Mack. I'm like, is that your real name, man? No, Chris Mack, and he has Carbon Credits. So it's an exchange platform selling carbon credits.
Yes.
Very interesting. We'll let you tell us all about it. What brought you here to the Bitcoin Energy Summit?
Yeah, so very excited to be here. There's a lot of projects developing different renewable energy projects as well as miners. So it goes hand in hand, and we are, of course, announcing a few different things. This week, earlier, we announced the launch of Carbon.credit, the exchange for carbon credits and renewable energy projects. And we're also announcing a new product called the Clean Bitcoin. And the Clean Bitcoin is actually a Bitcoin ordinal that represents an offset for the renewable energy production used for mining a single Bitcoin.
So it's really interesting. So now I over the past few years, we've done pretty well consulting. Now, when the market crashed and everything else, we started doing some other things. Really, we've always kept our media presence. We love to interview people, talk to people, learn what they're doing. But we were at, my brother and I, David, who's behind the camera as he is sometimes he's in front too. We were at New York Climate Week.
Oh yeah.
Were you there?
I believe I was, actually. This was in September, I think, right?
Yes. It was, I don't remember. Probably around that time. Yeah, so we might have met there. Yeah. But it was pretty interesting because I didn't really pin anybody down on it, but I interviewed a few people, and I just didn't really understand how people were like trading or cashing in these credits.
Yes.
And so, are you the first exchange, or?
So it's interesting. There are a few other exchanges that do sell carbon credits, but what we found is that carbon credits are much different than just a regular commodity. Each one is very unique and different. And there's a lot of different variables that go into what they are, the different methodologies, the location of the project, and all these things create a different value. So we have actually come up with a way to combine all these different assets into a single market, into a single order book, which is a game changer for what we're doing.
Well, it is pretty interesting. And just to take it out of the box for everybody, all carbon credits are not created equally, okay? Some carbon credits are worth more than others. And it's kind of like all the other free market things, like it's not very clear sometimes why one is worth more than the other, but they are. And so when you talk about putting them together, and could you take that out of the box a little bit? Like, how does that work?
Absolutely. So one of the things we've done is basically create an asset details page. And what this is it's kind of like a listing of all the details around that particular project. So if you go in there, you can see the name, the description, you can see the methodologies associated to it, the date it was produced. You can also see different documents, which are very important for disclosure. So any kind of document around the project, the operating agreement, any kind of certification documents can all be uploaded.
Yeah.
And so all those details are available to the people trading this carbon asset. So it's much different than just a generic commodity. Interesting.
So, I mean, that is, the documentation is also an interesting part of it, right? Because we've all, well, I don't know if we all, if you've kind of dabbled in the space, carbon credits sometimes are double sold. They're like, how do you ensure that it's a legitimate carbon credit?
Yeah, so that's been a hot topic, is the double selling, as you just mentioned. So we do use the blockchain to prevent double selling, and that's a key thing. Most of our assets are available on the Polygon network, and of course that's a very energy efficient network. But because everything's on the blockchain and it's singly minted and tied back to its origin, because we're actually displaying the documents of where it came from, we prevent any kind of fraud, double selling.
Interesting. Well, I know it's much needed. Then the next question, I don't know if you've tackled it or not, or how you are, I should say. But are you guys able to fractionalize these? Because I know a lot of times it's worth a lot, right?
So there's a few projects that have done some sort of fractionalization. In our view, we've actually tried not to do that. And one of the reasons is because they can be retired. So you can't fractionalize a retirement. So we look at it as a single unit of one carbon credit.
Interesting. And what is the average? So you've opened the exchange. Who then comes to you? The different companies to list them? Or?
Yeah, so we're talking with a lot of groups, both on the producer side. So if you have any kind of renewable energy project or any kind of carbon sequestration project, and for example, a couple weeks ago I was in Houston talking with people about flare gas, and flare gas can actually create a renewable energy contract. So it's really interesting that this kind of older industry can come in and participate in what's going on. So that's on the production side, and then on the other side of it is companies that actually want to offset any kind of business that they're doing, whether it's transportation, manufacturing, or any other kind of business.
Very cool. And I assume it's a centralized exchange, not like a DEX?
Yeah, so it is centralized, and we do that for compliance. But at the same time, because all the assets are on the blockchain, people can deposit, withdraw them, and they can self-custody.
Nice. Interesting. Okay, so then you're a weekend. You got the Carbon.credit. You can go right now and look at that and see the look and feel of it. So can I just go on there and buy credits?
Yeah, so we're in the midst of our launch right now.
Okay.
And the first step is to basically sign up, get KYC'd. Once you're KYC'd, then you can start purchasing.
All right, I'm out. That is interesting. And then and then anybody can just purchase them. And it's very speculative, I would say, at the moment.
So that's interesting because right now it's not considered speculative.
Okay.
And we think that over time it will become more speculative.
Uh-huh.
Historically, it's been very organized around producers and consumers directly, meaning the projects that are producing it and the companies that are going to buy to offset. There's been very little amount of people actually going in to speculate based on just thinking, okay, the price is going to move in a certain direction. But when you look at the greater demand through the next 10 years, a lot of people are looking at that now and saying, okay, this is going to trend upwards.
That is interesting. So I'm a company. I know I'm going to probably need some carbon credits. I can go there and buy them.
Yes.
And it's just like any other. Wow, that's pretty interesting. I'll tell you, it's pretty interesting stuff, folks. Make sure to check it out. Carbon.credits. You have I think we put your Twitter handle. Any other way that you would like to people to be able to get in contact with you?
You can go to Carbon.credit and check us out. And of course, you can contact us there, email us, and happy to work with you.
Chris Mack.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on, man.
Thank you.